Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Guiazda. On today's show, we'll check in with the Public Works Department. My guest today is Brett Stupp, the Construction Supervisor with the Public Works Department. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, you're relatively new to your position. Tell me a little bit about your background and what you do.
Well, I worked in the private sector doing engineering consultant work for the last 7 years. I've been a resident at Ames since 2004, and job came open up in Ames, and so I wanted to actually work in the community that I was a part of.
So a lot of your job is really hands-on. I know you're out in the community a lot, and there's a lot of construction going on right now.
Yeah, there is a lot of construction going on. Actually, I would supervise a crew of anywhere from 4 to 10 construction inspectors. That ranges from seasoned veterans to interns that we get a lot from Iowa State every year, and just making sure that the work's progressing as it's been designed and it's meeting the plans and specifications.
So I know this work goes on year-round, but this is the time that it actually is implemented. So you actually see those designs be translated into miles of street.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really fun to be part of something where you get to see tangible results on a day-to-day basis and see those plans finally come to life and that product being delivered to the community.
So this is one of those things that the city does that really affects everybody. Construction projects are always something that we hear about, that people want information about, and really just about everyone at some point in their day will run into a construction project. How do we get the word out to let people know what we're doing?
Well, we do have several ways of public outreach. A lot of times there has been some public outreach done prior to the project starting. A lot of times there's neighborhood meetings prior to a project being designed just to let residents know what the idea is for their neighborhood or street. Also, there's construction update on our website, City of Ames construction update page, where you can find usually up-to-date information. It's usually updated once a week, and of course, everybody can always call me and find out what's going on too.
So, all these different projects are going on. Is it hard to keep them all straight?
Yeah, it can be. It can be a challenge. There's so much work going on because we have so much we want to fix, and developers coming in and expanding our good city. So it is hard to take care of. But with the group of talented individuals we have on our staff, we usually make out a pretty good team and can get the job done.
So I think maybe sometimes people don't understand that although the city is sort of maintaining the roads, fixing the roads, improving and expanding the roads, a lot of the work that's being done is contracted. Right,
absolutely. We have several contractors that have worked in Ames for lots of years. Some come in from out of town, but not as often. In addition, a lot of the developers drive a lot of this work too, to where they are obviously building in these streets and the infrastructure for new neighborhoods. And then once those projects are complete, then they become the city's property and our streets to maintain and so on.
So like you mentioned, a lot of these projects start out way back in the design stage when you're asking for input from residents who are directly affected, and then they work their way through the process, and you mentioned the various ways that you keep in touch with the residents. When the project's all done and you get this wonderful smooth road, how long is that anticipated? How long is the life of a road?
Well, typically all design anymore is targeted between that 25 and 30-year mark. So if everything's done correctly the way the design has called out and how the project's been constructed, if it's been followed to those design plans, it should last that 25 or 30 years, and we shouldn't have to come bother your street anymore for that length of time at least.
And then how many, is it miles of road? How much do you plan to do each summer?
It really varies. The CIP, our Capital Improvements Program, it varies year to year. Now, every now and then we get a little bit larger projects such as Grant Avenue this year that'll be going into construction, as well as the roundabout project on the south side of town, extending University to the south. And development opportunities can also drive that. If developers aren't building a new neighborhood this year or adding on, then that's a lot less street work and it's more in repair versus new roadway.
So you mentioned two rather large projects on opposite ends of town. The Grant Avenue extension, some people in Ames might know that as Hyde Avenue. That's going north.
Correct. Yep, going all the way north from where Hyde ends to 190th Street.
And-
there on the west side.
And then, and that will be a nice connection for people in the north.
Absolutely.
And then to the south, a really exciting project, the extension of University Boulevard beyond Airport Road, right next to Workiva and Wessex, if you're familiar out with those entities out there, but adding a new traffic feature we have not seen in Ames.
Right, actually adding 3. The main one, like you said, is at Airport Road and University intersection. And I guess the thinking is we're thinking future-wise, so we're thinking 50, 100 years into the future using data from the MPO or Metropolitan Planning Organization to gather data for the large research park development down south. And we're just thinking trying something new to facilitate traffic through this it'll be a high traffic area once it's all built out.
So a roundabout, pretty exciting. And
Right.
3 roundabouts.
3 roundabouts, right.
Yeah, so feedback has been a little mixed on those. Do you think people, once they get used to it, will sort of adjust?
Well, that's what we've found, at least with the roundabouts that were put in place in Johnston. I know that they do have some around their schools in Johnston and Urbandale school districts, and there was some mixture of feelings in the beginning, but then I think they did another poll somewhere between 6 months and a year after they were in place, and the feedback was heavy on the positive side.
Well, that's great. So something to look forward to. What's the time frame on that?
Well, the construction's beginning any day. They started moving equipment in, and it looks like at least that northern roundabout on the Airport Road University intersection will be complete sometime in October. Okay. So that'll be the large one, and then they'll move south, but that's a lot more of a rural area, so the impact should be completed after October.
Okay, so we talked about north and south. Just in general on street projects, every so often we'll get a call or two about somebody who's been notified that their streets kind of come up for repair, and maybe they have a special need, an elderly relative, somebody who has mobility impairment. What do you do in those circumstances?
Well, of course, we will do our best to accommodate anybody as best way we can. If there's an access issue, a lot of times we'll coordinate phasing so that the project maybe stops and starts different phases at their property line so they can always have access throughout. If there is an opportunity or an instance where there's going to be access that's going to be cut off, then we always work with the contractor and the resident, whether we need to take golf carts down there or maybe a 4-wheel drive truck when the street's been ripped out to help residents get where they're going.
So really paying a lot of attention to how a street improvement would affect a resident.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to make the roadway and the project successful to have a better product for the residents, but we also understand that there is some headaches in dealing with construction. But in order to get that end product, we do have to go through the construction phase, but we will do everything we can to accommodate the residents.
Well, Brett, I know this is a busy time for you, so I appreciate you taking some time out to explain to us about these upcoming street projects. Again, if people want more information, where can they go?
You can contact myself here at City Hall, or they can go to the construction update page at thecityofames.com.
Yeah, again, that construction update page is easy for you to find. It's at cityofames.org/construction. You can get the latest information on all our street projects, as well as a map identifying several of the projects that will be going on throughout the construction season. Well, some other things for your calendar as we move forward into mid-June, end of July. Remember that 4th of July is coming up, and the fireworks will be on Friday, July 3rd. Again, mark your calendar for Friday, July 3rd for fireworks, followed by the 4th of July parade and pancakes on Saturday, July 4th. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.